Hey, welcome to another episode of Regenerative Inspiration. Today, I have a wonderful opportunity to talk with a great friend of mine. Mel and I met in 1998, the second week that I moved to Colorado. We immediately became fast friends, and his stories and the things that he's overcome in his life are absolutely amazing. He's not only a compassionate and loving leader, but he's also a no-nonsense person. So if he sees something that's not fair, not just, he's very quick to point it out. And like, I love that about Mel. Like, his character is unbelievable. So let's start with Mel Tewahade, and you have an amazing story, Mel. So I want to start with the beginning. You grew up in Ethiopia, and your father was the head of finance for Emperor Selassie. And you had a very great education, but then what happened?
It started out in in the case of Ethiopia, it started out in 1960. There was an attempted coup by brothers, one of whom was a graduate of American University, either Yale or Harvard, I'm not sure. His name is Garmami. And he was a communist, a totally inspired communist by the time he returned from his American schooling. And he returned about 1952. He was agitating everybody and so forth. By 1960, he was ready to kill the emperor. So he attempted a coup with his brother. Fortunately for Ethiopia, he did not succeed. So very fortunate for me that he did not succeed. Otherwise, I would have to face communism from the age of 1. So that was being put out, and it was beautiful. I was a beautiful childhood, private school, and then a British boarding school in Ethiopia, just absolutely beautiful life. And all of a sudden, this student movements start getting agitating again, started out the same thing as the universities, usually, where these things are incubated. So they start rioting and so forth, and a lot more educated, so-called educated kids came back from the US and from Europe. They were total Marxists, and they contaminated the whole water. They contaminated the whole place. And then, of course, the Russians and the military took advantage of that, declared Ethiopia communist or socialist country in 1974, 75 area. And then I left in 1976. My father was very successful. He was a senator. He was Italian war hero back in 1936. He lived a good life. And fortunately for my family, my father was not killed. But the rest of us, we had to flee Ethiopia. So that's how it all started. In 1977, I left Ethiopia and just basically walked to Sudan.
Yeah, I remember hearing this story. Like, you had basically $20, the shirt on your back. You had to walk because otherwise you're going to get killed. Like, all your classmates, if I'm correct, all
Yes.
your classmates, everybody your age was pretty much
Dead. Yes.
Yeah, you're the only one left.
Yes, I'm
Yeah.
basically really one of the few ones that was able to walk away.
And you walked to Sudan. So
Yes.
talk about that, because
Sudan was very difficult, but the people were beautiful at that time. It was a British colony, 150 years. They were really very good people, and I thought they were really reasonably advanced, even compared to Ethiopia in terms of their exposure to Western culture. And sometime Winston Churchill was even there, some officer kind of guy back in the 1922. And it was really, by the time I got there, it was pretty intact. But even Sudan was slowly changing. Even as I was there, they were getting infiltrated by Egyptians called Islam Brotherhood.
Okay.
Islamic Brotherhood start contaminating them back right there at 1977. And then pretty soon, Osama bin Laden moved in and so forth, and Sudan was in a downward spiral. They couldn't keep the country together, ended up being split, forced into 2 countries. And basically, that's where Sudan is now, total chaos and civil war for a long time. It really is, it makes me sad.
So, but that wasn't your ultimate stop. You were always trying to get to the United States, I believe,
Yes.
with like political asylum or something like that, right?
Yes.
So what happened next? Because I know.
Yeah, I got another job. I was a sailor, of course. I left Ethiopia. I had a seaman book, and I was basically a low-end sailor and an able seaman. And so I got a job, and I was able to make it to Greece and Italy. Initially, I disembarked because the ship was going on a dry dock. So I had to take a train and made it to Germany and worked there in different positions. Worked in a factory, worked in the zoo, and lived there from 1978 till about 1980. So, and then luckily I was able to go to school and get some training at Goethe Institute, and I learned German,
Yeah.
which helped me a great deal during my life there. And the Germans were very kind at that time. There were a lot of people were coming and from all kinds of wars, Eastern Europeans and Polish and Afghanistan, all kinds of people were coming to Germany, but they were accommodating. And at that time, in 1980, and that's when I found out that there was a possibility for us to go to America. I could have come to America right there at 1980 because U.S. was accepting Ethiopians, but it required me to throw away my Ethiopian passport, and I just couldn't do that. I wanted to be able to return it to the embassy or something of that nature, but just throwing my passport in the trash, I couldn't do it. So I said I will pass, and I was, of course, I didn't qualify because I had a passport, which meant that I had to go to some other country. And I went to Australian embassy, asked them, and they were not really very receptive to people like me. And then, of course, I ended up in Canada. And Canada has been kind to me. I went to school there, University of Toronto sometime, and some computer training. And then after that, I ended up getting involved in the financial planning business accidentally.
Yeah.
A Jewish manager of mine, Jerry Green, bless his heart, he told me, you'll do very well because you speak several languages. And he was right. I did very well in Canada.
Well, let's talk about that. So, all right. So, Ethiopia to Sudan, you got to Italy, took a train to Germany, or finished up your education in Germany. Because Germany, I was in Germany last year, and they have so many great programs for people that are coming in from other countries and things like that. It's just they have a ton of great programs for that, as well as I know Canada and the U.S. do as well. So it's just then you get there and the U.S. didn't accept you. Right? Unless you threw away your Ethiopian passport and like kind of your heritage, like they wouldn't accept, huh?
Well, it wouldn't be good for me to do that because what would I do for the U.S.?
Yeah.
Even if U.S. gave me a passport and U.S. lost a war or something like that, am I going to abandon U.S.?
Yeah.
So abandoning a country is not a good sign. So we all have our problem, but I don't have a problem with Ethiopia. I have a problem with the communists. And so, that's the reason. But eventually, I was always aiming on coming to America.
Yeah.
So it ultimately God allowed me to get back right here, and I might have to wait another 13 years, but I was able to come to America.
So you got convinced to go and get into insurance, right? And so tell me about that.
It was accidental. As I said, Jerry Green said to me that I speak several languages, I'll do very well. I really didn't know what he was talking about, the products, insurance, investment, bonds, maturity, CDs, GIC as they call them in Canada, guaranteed investment certificates. I didn't understand any of those, but he said he would learn. This is nothing. So we're going to take you for a training and you'll be okay. So when he took me the training, I came back and I became really number one, rookie of the year I became. Because of the languages that I speak, I was able to speak some Italian, but I was also very good in German. So I got a lot of German clients. And at that time, Ethiopians were just very struggling, just got arrived in Canada, so they didn't build up anything yet. And so I was able to build up a career just selling to a lot of Germans, and it was really German Canadians who left to Canada after Second World War and built themselves a pretty good life in engineering, machining, tool, dye, food processing, things like that. And they were very, very good at that. And so I really lucked out very well, and life was very good. I lived there until 1993.
So talk to me about that. So you lived there, and then ultimately, I know you were Rookie of the Year, were like number one salesman of the year multiple years in a row.
Yes.
And then finally, you got an executive transfer.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
This was a pivotal point. I think I met you just shortly thereafter this.
Yes.
But things started changing, right? So
Yes.
talk to me about that, because I want to hear how that transformed and changed your life. Because I mean, you've talked about the communists and how, they have had a huge impact because of what they did, right?
Yes.
I want to talk about that. I want to compare that to what you were doing with.
Yes. So I came to the U.S., I think, for the first time in 1989. Because I'm a Canadian citizen, I didn't need a visa, so I was able to come straight in. And I was really impressed with the tenacity of the people, the amount of work that people worked. That they picked up 2-3 jobs and they worked and nobody complained. I was just amazed with how everybody was moving in the U.S. Then in the summertime of the following year, 1990 or 91, I came to watch a soccer game with the Ethiopian soccer tournament that's played every year. Now it's, I think, about 40 some odd years. And so that soccer game, I saw the difference between Ethiopians and the ones from Canada were a little bit quieter. The ones in the U.S. are a little bit more confident. And I said, there's something here. I gotta be exploring this. And I started looking into it. And then there might be an opportunity for me to come to the U.S. And after that, I just said, I got to come to this place. This is an amazing place. So we started the process in 1991, applying for a green card, hired a lawyer. Of course, the company sponsored me, Metropolitan Life, and I was supposed to do the ethnic market development because of the languages and stuff like that I speak. So that helped me to get the executive transfer, and my green card really was delivered to me. And it was really nice to be able to come to the U.S. I didn't come as a refugee. I came as a Canadian executive to start the branch for ethnic market and so forth. So, and that's how I got transferred. And everything has been, I had to accept a restart again, because I found that the U.S. and Canada was so different culturally and how they move that I had to learn how the U.S. worked. And my income suffered the first couple of years. But ultimately, by the time I met you 4 years later, 1998, my income was just exactly what it was in Canada. So it was beautiful. So sometimes it taught me a lesson that in order to get things better, you have to accept going backwards a little bit. That's life. If you want to think long and see what's going to impact your great-grandkids, you have to accept some kind of retreat to be able to get to where you want. Otherwise, a lot of people in Canada were confused. They said, you're making big money. Why are you leaving this place? What happened to you? And so forth. And they didn't understand that I was looking for a bigger opportunity, but also a more determined people and country. And Canada has been beautiful to me, but just because they have a lot of resources, they are very kind and they give a lot of things for free. And because of the free stuff, people are not motivated to be trained. So they're not well educated, or they don't go to carpentry or plumbing or any of that kind of thing. And so now you have used all these unemployment benefits and this and that, and then eventually you reach the age of 75 without really not working properly for more than 6 months. So a lot of situations like that made me sad. But I can't change the whole of Canada's policy. All I can do is just save myself and save my family. And sure enough, 33 years ago, we decided to move, and it's just been one of the best things that I've done. And I wish Canada always the best, for they have been kind to me. But it kind of breaks my heart to see how many people are on unemployment, how many people don't take jobs serious, how many people are taking long, long weekends starting Thursday And then don't come back on Monday either because you're some kind of party and you had a headache and you can't come to work even on Tuesday. So that kind of makes me sad because it was really a very stronger, much stronger country when I arrived, but it's, eventually losing your work ethics, the country will be forced to pay the price.
Yeah. So what made you transition from your own company or to your own company away from one of the bigger as just a salesperson?
Yes, again, I'm going to risk another income because I was pretty okay by 1998. My income stabilized, but I wasn't happy because some of the things that were promised to me were not delivered. Things like I was going to get a book of business, none of it came to pass. I was going to get some clients, existing clients that I was going to service and so forth. Those things never came to pass. And so I said, you know what, I'm just going to go. And I have worked now for 4 years. I paid my dues for them sponsoring me to come to the U.S., but now I have to go and start a new company, which I did. Again, my income plummeted. Again, every time you try to make a change, things will happen. So that's what inspired me. I just said, I'm going to stay the course. I'm going to start my own company, and started a small company, the Infinity Wealth Management, with probably at that time only had about $1 million or so under management, and probably sold the policy because most of the business that I did with MetLife left behind. And I have a no compete agreement, so I can't go after the clients that I had. So I had to go basically start over again for the third time, which was okay. It made me stronger, that I worked hard, and I was able to build the company back up again, even by 2005.
Yeah. What are some principles that others can take away from that transition? I mean, because part of it was because of happiness, part of it was because of, you wanted to build something of your own. What principles did you lean on there, and what would you do to encourage somebody else that might be in that same scenario, where they maybe don't like where they're at right now, or maybe they've just lost their job and they need to build something?
So the first thing I'm going to tell them is that you got to be thinking long. You cannot think on a weekly terms, on a monthly term and a yearly term. No, you got to think long. What would you want to do for your great-grandkids? How do you want to position yourself so that you can leave a legacy? If you're working for corporate, it's going to be their business, not your business. So you're never going to be known for what you have done, right? When you retire, they give you a big bonus and you're gone. But you build your own company, it's a lot of price up front by being patient, by being frustrated, by being unable to get new clients, by being forced to work 16 hours. But work I did, because normally I would say I would work about 12, 13 hours every day because I cannot afford to lose. And I got responsibility, I got to pay bills and things like that. So I had to make sure that I make the phone calls, I make the appointments, I see people, I see clients. And then if I get rejection, that's okay. And then how tenacious you are, and how determined you are, and how principled you are, and how you study the products that you have. There are products that you can sell that can give you 2-3 times the income, but you choose the ones that are better product for the clients, but it pays you only about 30% and 20% of the commission. And that's what I did. I used products that were 20%, 30%, but pretty soon I made a name for myself because I was selling products that nobody was selling. And they were very good products. They were able to compare it with other financial planners, insurance brokers, and they said, I can't believe this. So eventually I started getting a lot of referrals. So majority of my business, 80% of it probably was built on referrals. When people trust you, then they trust you with their brothers. Yeah. They trust you with their family. They trust you with their neighbors. All our business is all done organically. And from the 1 million I started managing, now we are about $110 million asset under management after, the 27, 28 years now. And now we are at a position I can even buy companies that are already managing maybe $50, $60 million. and bring it up to 180 and so forth. So it's a lot. It gets easier and easier. For the people that are struggling, I'm telling you, don't be short-sighted. Stay the course, even if it looks like you're not succeeding, but you are succeeding. You don't know it yet. You can't see it because you are looking for results today. And you say, why my bank account is not reflecting my success? The bank account will come later. You'll have a lot of money, even with lower income, selling the right product and getting a lesser remuneration and commission. So I wanted to show you that it's possible to sell good products that will help families, that will make you proud to be going to the families. Yesterday, for example, I went, it was a funeral. In that funeral, I deliver big checks, $500,000, $700,000 check. You know, it makes sense, but you cannot get those results unless you are patient. So learn how to protect yourself by not looking shortcuts. Selling that pays you the highest and this and that, all that is a recipe for disaster. Sell products that are good for people, and eventually you'll also be compensated, not as much as the other people are doing it, but you're the only one in the end who will stay in the business.
Yeah, well, and I think that's the principle of true customer service and like a heart-led leader as well, because, you know, it's very easy to say, oh, I can make $1,000 in this policy this month and you got bills to pay, versus I'm going to make $200 on this policy, but they're never going to go anywhere because for the next 20 years, that policy is going to keep renewing and going, and I'm going to help build more assets for them, you know. And I think that's, that's what a lot of people haven't done, right? Because they're looking for that quick buck. They're looking for just digging out of a quick hole. They're not thinking the long game, like you had mentioned. That's great. I would love to actually talk about some of the strategy though too, because I mean you're quite genius in how you take life policies and build wealth within those, so there's less taxation. It's like definitely focused on the long haul of, you know, the grandkids and things like that. Can you talk about that, just overall, just a bigger strategy?
Yeah, the bigger strategy is basically one of the best ways the insurance companies make money is on lapses. They let the policy lapses. And I'm sorry to tell you this, but lapses is how they profit. Because a lot of people, maybe a third of the people, will end up lapsing the policy.
And by that, like you're saying like a term policy or something, or
even
they just
whole
forget
life.
to pay the bill?
Forget to pay the bill.
Oh, they forget to pay the bill, and then they got to restart it again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, all that premium that they paid is gone.
Got it.
It's from the insurance company. Oh, the agent gets commission, but he only gets the first year commission. So the person might have been paying the premium for 9 years. So the first year commission goes to the agent, but the 8th year goes to the insurance companies. And now they don't have to pay this $501 million death benefit, and they love it. Yeah. So you have to learn, how do I keep the policies from not lapsing? So the critical thing is you sell them a policy that they can afford. If you sell them a big commission policy with a big premium, it will collapse because they can't afford it. Your calculation, what they call financial needs analysis, tells you that this person, this family can afford only $150. So why do you sell them a $400 policy? They told you this. We have a computer that tells us how much we can afford, because the mortgage payment, the car payment, this payment, that payment, insurance payment, those are payments that they have to do. Private school, kids' school, uniforms, this and that. So after that, what is left is $150. So why do you have to sell them a policy of $400? Because they can only keep it for 2 years. But if you sell them a $150 or even better, $100 policy, that doesn't pay a lot of commission, but it's a good policy, the lapse rate goes down. So I have almost zero lapse rate. We don't lapse policy. You know, you have policies with me.
I do.
All of them are doing well. You have them for 15 years. You don't have any problem. And your family is going to be in great shape if something happens. God forbid, if anything happens, everybody is financially well. That is something you don't want to worry about. So, and then it's also the possibility of getting a new policy gets harder and harder. As you turn 40, you got cholesterol problem, you got this problem. As you get to 50, you got heart attack, you got this. And then by the time you're 60, most 60-year-olds are totally uninsurable
Yeah.
because they became diabetic and this and that, and the policy will possibly be declined. So the best thing I can give advice to the families is please get your policies between the ages of 20 and 30. I don't
20
care.
and 30, yeah.
20 and 30. I don't care what you have to give up. I don't care if you have to drive a Beetle. I don't care if you have, just buy a policy because you may never be able to get the policy again. So a lot of people are uninsurable. That's another thing that they don't know. So if you don't plan them properly and make it possible for people to have some money, and then of course if you use also the life insurance, all the money, all the extra money for life insurance, where are you going to put your IRA money? How are you going to fund your retirement? You have a lot of life insurance, but now you don't have anything to live with when you retire. That's bad strategy. So you got to be able to live. If you live long, you have to have a lot of money. That requires saving and investment. If you live too short, you're going to need life insurance so that it can replace the income for your family. And then the third option is also if you got disabled. Do you have a disability policy, or do you have got a long-term care when you are not able to take care of yourself? Who's going to take care of you? As we can see in a society like America, a lot of kids are busy with their own lives. They can't take care of, they are barely taking care of themselves, much less to take care of mom and dad. And those who take care of mom and dad are really stressed. So at least have the option to prepare for some long-term care plan. Most of these life insurance policies can be used as a long-term care. So if you have $1 million policy, like your policy that you've got, they will allow you to use 60% of it for long-term care, which means you have $600,000. You don't know it because you never needed it at this age, but when it comes handy, if you are unable to do one of those 6 things, transferring, toileting, changing your clothes, feeding yourself, and cognitively impaired, and you are Parkinson, you automatically qualify. So a lot of opportunity in America. I cannot see how people can be broke in a country like this. We have to learn how to put $100 away and then put $50 into a life insurance, and things will get better. And as you get wealthier, you start buying bigger ones and bigger investment, and you will be able to prosper.
Yeah, well, I love that. And I think that's the thing that a lot of people forget, because they think it's going to be $500, $1,000 a month, and they're going to have to keep putting this away, and they don't see the results because it is for long-term protection. But $100, $150, $200, whatever is affordable, like starts to, you never cut that bill, right? And that's something you told me early on, like never miss this bill.
Never.
Yeah, never. And just let it go.
That's it. That's it.
It's not in your, pocket. It's gone,
That's
so,
it.
and then, I mean, the other side of that too, that I think you mentioned a little bit on the disability side of things, but you didn't mention on how you can actually put a savings program in there, take a loan against your life insurance policy.
Absolutely.
When you're outliving your income, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, so talk about that a little bit.
A lot of the people that we have got lots of money now, even though they came with $100. Thank God now, after 30 years, everybody has got $1 million, $2 million, $1.5 million, and so forth. So we did very well. And their life insurance never lapsed. We made sure that the policies were intact. But if you get into an unfortunate circumstances where you run out of money, which none of my clients had happened, because a lot of them also is supported by guaranteed income instruments like SPIA, Single Premium Immediate Annuity, which means I give $500,000 to an insurance company will guarantee me income for as long as I live, maybe $7,000 a month. So we got a lot of those also instruments put in place. So we got your investment, we got you to $1 million. So what we do, we take the 300 out and buy you a guaranteed income, because I don't want to run out of money. So the 700 can stay in the market, but this 300 is used now to generate a $3,000 or $4,000 income. A lot of families are disciplined. Once you show them, once they know how money works, not a whole lot of people even call to cash anything out. They have systematic plan. Now I get a lot of calls to get money right now because it's income tax. And we need to pay. We need to pay income tax. We need to be responsible citizens. for the services that we get. We need to help the government to be able to take care of the disabled, take care of the homeless and so forth, which we're not doing a great job here in Colorado. But if we can cut down on addiction and help the people that have money, that's a security for us too, because now we have, all of us, a more genuine, more secure, a more happier society. Because I don't know about you, but if you see people on the traffic light everywhere begging for money, it breaks your heart.
Yeah.
You just say, how does it happen? So we really need to work hard to make everybody prosper and never run out of money. But if they run out of money, there is always the possibility of taking money out of your life insurance. Your life insurance nowadays have got what they call a living benefit that allows you to borrow money on the event of critical illness, in the event of a disability, in the event of heart attack. They give you either 10% of the death benefit, or they give you 60%. Some companies even give you 80% of the death benefit. So if you have $1 million policy, they will give you $800,000, knowing that you are in the last stages of your life. But if you don't die, you don't have to pay them back. Most of the companies don't even charge you interest. Some do charge interest, but you can live another 10, 15 years. So really, your level of success will get better if you start with $100. And then pretty soon you know the value of money. You don't do those crazy things anymore, because if you look at what you're spending your money on, it's not really a useful thing. Successful families don't spend money on those type of things. They leasing a very expensive cars and paying $1,000, $1,500. That's not going to make you prosper. Things like that, they constantly would cost you a lot of money for really nothing to show for. So that's why, if you look at my car, it's just 17 years old, and I'm hoping to get another 10 out of it. So, so life is good, but mental illness is more dangerous. To worry about money eventually will drive you crazy. And so we have to be able to plan our lives.
So I love all that advice, because it's something that you don't normally hear in today's day and age, because it's all sensationalism. It's about buy this, enjoy this, go spend your money on this. It's very easy. There's a Japanese proverb that was, making money is like picking up sand on the seashore with chopsticks. Spending it is like pouring it through a sieve. It's very easy to spend.
Yes.
And a lot of times people they just, it's just gone, and so, yeah, that's great. Well, I appreciate that, because most of the time, we have adversities with all sorts of different things, but financial adversity is something that many people struggle with, because they don't have enough to pay the bills. They start to fight with their spouse. They start to fight with other people. They start to do things they probably shouldn't have done because they put themselves in a bad scenario, right? And so if we can start with those principles and get ahead of it is a big thing, because there is hope. There's definitely hope, and it just takes a little bit longer sticking with it. Like you said, it doesn't always seem like it's going that way, but just stick with it. And I think it's pretty awesome. If you were going back in time and you were able to talk to yourself when you were younger, let's say teenage, 25 years old, what would you say to yourself now?
I would say I'm happy that it all worked out the way I thought. When I was 25, I thought it was going to work out if I worked hard. I thought it would work out if I was honest, like refusing to come to the U.S. because I wasn't going to throw away my Ethiopian passport. Stay the course. Stay the course. However hard it is, eventually things will work out. Eventually people will see you for who you are. And people are good people. People will support you. This notion that people are mean and bad, it's not true. Most people are beautiful. They will help you, and they will trust you. All we have with the money that they gave us is trust now. I am fiduciary. I invest everything that I think will benefit my clients. And luckily for me, all these years, it has worked out very nice, especially in a day like today, where, it looks like there will be a war will be posed with Iran. So we made a lot of money today. The stock market is up about 1,000 points right now as we speak. And so, which means a lot of people are uplifted. Just within our own portfolio, we're probably up about $4 or $5 million. So America is just a beautiful place. We have succeeded to culturally impact a lot of people. I can say that with Germany. When I was there in 1978, it was a very hard place. I went back with you, like you did. A little later after you, I went back to Germany. I was in Frankfurt. I was all over. I was also in the East. I was in Dresden and all that, and East Berlin. I couldn't believe it, how much they have changed. And for one single reason why they have changed is because of American influence. The movie they watch is American. The kids all want to be American. They are very tolerating people now. They are multicultural. They got a lot of black kids. They got along very nice. It's just a different country. And now after 40 years of they don't know it, but it's really primarily for the American movie and the cultural impact of American beauty that we give everybody a chance. I don't know any other country like the US that gives you 100% opportunity to come be equal with the people that arrived here before 1776. We are equal. Here's your passport. Here's your income tax. Here's this. Please don't steal this. Don't forge this. Please don't falsify. That's it. You're equal to everybody. So this is the only place I know. And the kind of respect that I got now all over the world when I travel, because I have a U.S. passport and an American citizen, by itself should have caused me to come. And American influence has helped a lot of countries. And the result is coming. It looks like a little slow, but it's coming. Like a lot of people in Ethiopia have changed now. They don't care about socialists. They threw it in the trash. They would never look at that again. So I know that one country is saved. And a lot of this Middle East are going to change. It takes them maybe another 20 to 30 years, but they're going to change. Look at Dubai, how much they have changed already. Look at Saudi Arabia, how much they have achieved. The girls can drive cars now. They have movies. Movie was not allowed till just 10 years ago. There was no movie theater. There's nothing to do in Saudi. You go at night, nothing. This is haram, this is haram, this is sin, this is sinful, this is sinful. You can't play basketball, you can't do this, you show your skin. So in the end, it became an incredibly boring place with a lot of money. But now, in time, they're changing. Everybody's changing. And then when that group of people now is added and helped by Iran, which is already a very civilized country, when they come back to where they used to be, the Persians, it's going to be an incredible place. And so America is responsible for all this criticism that America takes, but America has still made an incredible difference in people's life. Just tolerance, teaching us how to accept people. We couldn't accept because we were a different tribe. This is a lower tribe. I'm a higher tribe in this tribe. And then we come to America, everybody's the same. And then this is an incredible lesson for us to go like, Mom, what is this? So this country is changing the whole world. It's just because of what it's doing. It's not forcing. It's not by war. It's not by bullying. It's not by beating people up. No, people just see it. They don't want it. They don't want it. There are less Islam people now in Iran than 1979. They despise Islam because what they have seen done for the last, what was done in the name of Islam for the last 47 years. So there are less mosques now because they're using the mosque as a military command force. That's where they do a lot of the spying and a lot of strategy. They put arms inside the mosques. So it's going to change. It's beautiful. I am so excited for the young people. We struggled and fought, but now the result is here. It's only going to get better.
So, Mel, you have a very interesting perspective from a standpoint of, you grew up in Ethiopia. You spent time on the seas a little bit in Italy and Germany, in Canada, United States. You've been a citizen for many years now. Tell me what you would see from a global perspective about America, right? About people that are here and about people that are coming here. Because I think that's also something else we should talk about.
Okay. So first let me talk about America, because Americans are the ones that just blew me away. That is a thing that I couldn't understand. So as you know, I'm a member of the Lions Club. I've been a member since 1994 of the Lions Club of Denver, and we delivered about 10,000 eyeglasses. And of course, this all was made possible because of the members of the Lions Club. They were good people. Some of them worked with the eyeglasses. Some of them were just business people. They all went with me to Ethiopia to deliver those glasses, and they are just incredibly kind, paid their own money, paid their own hotels, stuff like that. And we bring the eyeglasses and get them fixed up and renovate them, make sure they are good enough for people and so forth. A lot of farmers, poor farmers in the countryside, just enjoyed it. And the kind of love those Americans had for the farmers of Ethiopians was what blew me away. We did not, because we were rich people and we were coming from the city, and we looked down on these people, our own people. And the kind of love that these Americans had was unbelievable. They didn't care if they were lepers, they were this, they had sickness. They were not scared. They were just kissing them and touching them, hugging them. And that is just like, wow, this is something that deep inside with their value has changed when this new country called USA was founded. Nobody was going to be left behind. Nobody is left behind. So this country is so beautiful. Through the Lions experience, again, every year we do a health checkup here in the city for many, many years. And I sometimes work as a cashier. I have seen people that came in and they said, Mel, my bank account is empty. Well, it's okay. Just put me down for $40. Here's my credit card. I don't know anybody like that. I don't know anybody like that. If anybody can show me some other people like that, I will be happy to open to listen to. Maybe there's something wrong with me. But they will say, I have no money, but here's my credit card. Please take $40. So this is again and again and again it happened. And the kindness is what makes America the beautiful country it is. But at the same time, I want to also warn Americans to have to watch for their families, to be careful with their finances, to protect their great-grandkids, not accept this trying people to shame them into this, into that, into that. I don't care if you're black or white. You have to protect your family. You have to protect your great-great-grandkids. This country was built on those type of principles. So sometimes how much of the generational wealth is not passing well in America concerns me. Okay? I mean, it doesn't have to be like Europe where they keep it in their same family for 500 years. But in America, we got to be able to keep it at least within 2-3 generations. So the people that have money, I want you to teach your kids money discipline. The people that have money have to stop wasting their money buying them kids expensive cars. Instead, spend time with them. That's what they need. They need discipline. They need to learn what they need to do about their families. So that concerns me in a broader sense. I would like to see more families and parents like you who spends a lot of his time with his children, a lot of his time with his farm, a lot of his time with his chicken, a lot of his time with his animals. Really, it's just absolutely beautiful situation because the kids grow up to be self-sustaining. They know what you have to do to keep this company to where it is now, where you started from, even though at this young age you still went and had a doctorate. And you're still doing things that are very difficult for a lot of people. People will give up within 1 week, but you stayed on it. And so all I want to say is that be a good parent, be good family, protect your family, and also look out for your families. Don't throw away your assets. and be an example of squandering property, squandering assets. They didn't get it easy. Keep it in the family. Make sure that you support your family, and make sure that the bigger society is also taken care of by teaching them proper things. To try to get them away from addiction. If they are addicted, we got to bring them to treatment center. We got to love our families. We don't give up on them. And this is another thing that concerns me. There's some Americans that will say, "Oh, my kid is addicted, and I don't care." No, you can't say that. It's your kid. You have to fight to the very end. Doesn't matter, because God will ask you. Because those are addicted kids. They can't help themselves. Whether you have to hire an interventionist, whether you have to go get holy water, whether you have to bring them and tie them down, and you have to do something to get your kids from being on the street.
Well, Mel, thank you for coming on today. I appreciate the conversation. I hope people at home, got a good listen from this. And I always say, hey, the algorithm doesn't necessarily share good things, and so you need to share it. So if you saw something in here, if there's something that spurred something in your life, please share, like, comment. Making the world a better place through the principles of living a great life, looking out for the greatness in every human, because they have it. There's evil people out there too, but we know that there is good in everybody. Knowing that we have hope, that you can overcome, that you can stick through even challenging times is really important for people to know. And overcoming a place where all of Mel's classmates had been murdered and killed by communist regime, putting that behind, there could have been a lot of woe is me circumstances that Mel could have said, "Oh, I don't," all these things, but he didn't. He focused on what the future had for him, and he knew the vision, and he stayed to it. And sometimes it wasn't easy, but I hope this has been a benefit to you. And as always, we'll see you next time, and have a great day.